The night was heavy on the alien world. The sky burned with 2 red moons and cold winds blew across the stone valley. In the middle of that valley stood a giant beast. Its body was dark as smoke, its claws like blades, and its eyes glowed with cruel yellow light. Chains of black metal were tied around its thick neck and legs, and those chains stretched into the rocks like prison walls. But the beast was not the only one in chains. Beside its giant form, tied to the same chain, was a small alien girl. Her skin was pale blue, her hair thin and messy, her body weak. She looked no older than 12 human years. Her arms shook as she tried to keep the heavy chain from cutting into her wrists. The beast moved, and she was pulled with it, falling hard on the cold ground. The villagers stood far away, watching from the safety of the cliffs. None came close. None tried to help. "It is her punishment," one of them whispered. "She was chosen by the law," said another. "No one can save her. She will die with the beast." The girl heard their words. Her eyes filled with tears, but she did not cry out loud. She had already cried the first night, and no one listened. Now she stayed silent, her lips trembling, her heart beating with fear. The beast roared. The sound shook the valley. Birds fled into the dark sky. The girl pressed her small hands over her ears. She felt the hot breath of the beast as it bent its head close to her. Its teeth were sharp as swords. For a moment she thought it would eat her, but it did not. It only stared as if waiting. The villagers turned their backs and left. "The law is the law," they said again. "No one will break it." Night after night, the girl stayed chained to the beast. Her body grew weaker. Her lips cracked without water. Her stomach ached with hunger. She tried to sleep, but each time the beast moved, the chain dragged her awake. Sometimes the beast growled all night, pulling the chain tight until she could not breathe. But she never tried to run. She could not. The chain was too strong. On the 4th night, a storm came. Lightning split the sky. The beast roared louder than the thunder, fighting against the chain. The girl screamed as the chain cut into her wrists and ankles. She fell again and again, her body covered in dust and blood, and still no one came. By the 6th night, her voice was gone. She sat close to the beast, too weak to stand. The ground around her was hard and cold, but she no longer cared. She closed her eyes and waited for death, but fate did not give her death. Fate gave her a stranger. On the 7th night, a figure appeared at the edge of the valley. He wore a long coat made of fabric the villagers had never seen before. His skin was light, not blue like theirs, and his eyes carried both sadness and fire. He was human. The human had walked far across the alien land, searching for signs of life. When he looked down into the valley, his breath caught. He saw the beast first, and even from far away he felt the power of its roar. But then his eyes found the small figure beside it, the girl in chains. For a moment he did not believe it. How could a child be tied to such a monster? He turned to the villagers standing nearby. "What is this? Why is she chained there?" The villagers looked at him with cold faces. One of them said, "She is cursed. The law says she must stay until the beast kills her or the chain takes her life. No one may help her." The human clenched his fists. "A child? You would leave a child to die?" "It is not our choice," another villager said. "It is the law of our people." The human's eyes burned with anger. He looked again at the girl. She was staring back at him, her face pale, her eyes wide with silent hope. The beast growled, pulling the chain. The girl stumbled and fell, but she still kept her eyes on him. The human stepped forward. The villagers grabbed his arm. "Do not go near. The beast will tear you apart. And if you touch that chain, the law will punish you too." But he did not listen. The human slowly walked down into the valley. His boots crunched against the stones. The beast raised its head, watching. Its yellow eyes glowed brighter. The chain rattled as it moved, pulling the girl close to its giant chest. The girl's lips opened. No sound came out, but her eyes begged, "Please." The human stopped just a few steps away. The wind howled between them. The villagers held their breath on the cliffs. The beast growled low, ready to strike. And in that frozen moment, with the red moons shining above, one truth became clear. For 10 long days, the girl had been left alone with the beast. But now someone had come, a human, and he was not turning away. The valley was silent except for the rattling of the chain. The human stood only a few steps away from the beast and the alien girl. The villagers held their breath on the cliffs above. No one dared to move. The beast lowered its head. Its eyes glowed like fire, and a deep growl rumbled in its chest. The girl pressed her hands over her ears and shut her eyes tight. She thought the human would run like all the others, but he did not. The human's boots sank into the dust as he took another step forward. His voice was calm, but inside his chest his heart pounded like thunder. "She is only a child," he said. "This is wrong." A villager shouted from above, "Do not touch her. The law will curse you too. You will share her fate." The human ignored them. His eyes never left the girl. She opened her eyes slowly, her lips trembling, her small hands clutching the heavy chain. He could see how thin she was, how her skin was bruised and cut. She was close to death. The beast roared again. The sound rolled across the valley like a storm. The villagers stepped back in fear. But the human stood his ground. He had faced danger before. On distant planets he had fought storms, hunger, and loneliness. But this moment felt heavier than all those battles. The law of these people was not his law. His world had taught him something different. No child should die forgotten. Still, he knew the risk. If he tried to break the chain, the villagers might attack him. If he went too close, the beast might crush him with one strike. And if the alien law truly carried a curse, then he would pay that price. He looked at the girl again. Her lips moved, but her voice was only a whisper. "Help me." That was enough. The human took another step forward. His hand brushed the chain. The beast reacted at once. It lunged, jaws wide, claws digging into the stone. The chain stretched tight, pulling the girl with it. She fell hard, dust rising around her. The villagers gasped, certain the human would be torn apart. But the human did not pull away. He stood firm, eyes locked on the beast. "If you want me," he whispered, "then take me." The beast stopped. Its glowing eyes stared into his. For a long moment the world seemed frozen. The human felt the hot breath of the creature on his face. He smelled blood and ash. The chain rattled between them. Then slowly the beast pulled back. It gave a low growl, but it did not strike. The villagers whispered in shock. "It spared him, how?" The human bent down beside the girl. She stared at him with wide eyes, too weak to move. He took a small flask from his coat and pressed it to her lips. "Drink," he said gently. The girl obeyed. The water was warm and tasted of metal, but it was life to her. She coughed, then drank more. Her hands shook, but she held on. The beast watched them both. Its massive body shifted, but it did not attack. Instead, it lay down, chains clinking against the rocks. Its yellow eyes never closed. The human knew this was only the beginning. Helping her meant breaking the law of the villagers. He could feel their angry eyes on him from above. One of them shouted, "You fool! You will bring death on us all." Another cried, "The law is clear. Whoever touches the chain must die." The human lifted his head. His voice was calm but hard. "Your law leaves children to die in chains. That is no law, it is cruelty." The villagers did not answer. Fear kept them silent. The girl whispered again, her voice raw. "Why, you?" "No one came. Only you." The human's eyes softened. "Because no one else would." He gave her a piece of dried food from his pack. She ate slowly, every bite a fight against weakness. He stayed beside her, ready to defend her if the beast turned violent. The night grew darker. The two red moons climbed higher in the sky. The villagers left the cliffs one by one, muttering about curses and punishment. Soon only the human, the girl, and the beast remained in the valley. The human sat near the chain, his back against a stone. The girl leaned against his arm, finally able to close her eyes. The beast rested nearby, breathing heavy and low. He looked at them both. The girl, small and broken. The beast, fierce but strangely calm. He realized they were both prisoners of the same cruel law. And he made his choice. He would not leave her. Not now, not ever. He touched the cold chain with his hand and whispered to himself, "If this is my curse, then so be it. She will not die alone." The wind howled across the valley. The beast lifted its head as if it understood. The girl slept at last, her face peaceful for the first time in many nights. Above them, the red moons glowed like silent watchers, and the human's choice became clear to the stars themselves. He had stepped into danger, not to save himself, but to save another. What he did not know, what no one knew, was that this choice would shake the law of an entire world. The night was long in the valley. The red moons gave only a faint glow, painting the rocks in blood-colored light. The beast lay in silence, its huge body curled like a mountain of shadows. The girl slept against the chain, weak but still breathing, and beside her sat the human, watching, waiting, listening. He did not sleep. Every sound of the night kept him alert. The cry of distant birds, the hiss of wind through the stones, the deep rumble of the beast's breath. At any moment the creature could strike. Yet something strange had happened. It had not attacked him. Hours passed. The girl stirred, coughing softly. Her eyes opened wide with fear at first, but then she saw the human still there. He offered her water again. She drank slowly, her hands shaking. "You stayed," she whispered, her voice thin as paper. "Yes," the human answered simply. The girl looked at him with confusion. No one had stayed before. Everyone had turned their backs, even her own people. But this stranger, this human, had not. The beast shifted. Its chains rattled loudly. The girl pulled back in fear, but the human raised a hand. "Easy," he said, not to her but to the creature. The beast's glowing eyes studied him. It growled low like thunder beneath the earth. The human did not move away. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out a small piece of dried meat. He tossed it gently onto the ground in front of the beast. The creature sniffed the air, teeth glinting in the moonlight. Slowly, it lowered its massive head and swallowed the food in one quick bite. The girl gasped. It didn't kill you." The human gave a small smile. "Not yet." For the first time, the girl's lips curved into something almost like hope. The days passed. 10 days were promised by the law, 10 days chained together, and now each sunrise felt like a test. The human stayed close, giving the girl food and water, helping her stand when she was too weak to rise. She spoke little, but her eyes began to carry more life each day. Sometimes when the beast moved, she trembled. The human would place himself between her and the creature. Each time the beast stopped short, it watched him with a strange intelligence, as if trying to understand why he did not fear it. On the third day, the girl finally asked his name. "Call me whatever you like," he said. She thought for a moment. "Stranger," he chuckled. "Then I will be your stranger." And so, in silence and in whispers, the bond grew, but not everyone was silent. High on the cliffs, the villagers kept watch. They whispered about the human. Some said he was a fool. Others said he carried magic that made the beast obey. Fear spread among them, and fear often grows into hate. The human knew their eyes were always on him. At night, he saw torches in the distance. The villagers were waiting, watching for him to fail. He wondered how long before they would act. One evening, the girl spoke words that broke his heart. "They chained me because they said I was cursed," she whispered. "I don't even know why. I was only small, only weak. They said the beast would eat me, and then their law would be satisfied." The human clenched his fists. "You are not cursed. You are only a child. Their law is wrong." She looked at him carefully. "On your world, would they chain children?" He shook his head. "Never." She turned her face away, and he saw tears glisten in her eyes. That night, the beast rose suddenly. It pulled the chain tight, dragging both girl and human with it. The girl screamed, falling against the rocks. The human caught her, shielding her from the pull. He turned toward the beast, shouting, "Enough!" The creature froze. Its massive head lowered until its glowing eyes were level with the human's. The valley was silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. The human's heart raced, but he did not look away. "You are chained just like her," he said firmly. "If you want to fight, fight the chain, not her." The beast growled. Its claws scraped the stone. Then it lay back down, the chain rattling loose again. The girl stared in disbelief. "It listens to you." "Not to me," the human said. "To something else. Maybe it knows I will not leave you." For a long time she was quiet. Then she whispered, "Stranger, I am not afraid when you are here." Her words sank deep into him. He felt the weight of them more than the weight of the chain. As the days passed, the three of them, human, child, and beast, began to share a strange bond of silence. No one else understood it. The villagers could not explain it, but it was real. On the 7th day, the human woke to find the beast standing over him, watching. For a moment he thought it would finally strike. But instead, the beast turned its head toward the cliffs. The human followed its gaze and saw movement, shadows, torches, figures creeping closer. The villagers were coming. The beast gave a low growl, not at the human, not at the girl, but at those climbing down from the rocks. The human understood then. The beast was not only a monster. It had chosen its side, and for the first time he felt something stronger than fear. He felt the beginning of trust. The sun rose red over the valley, painting the stone with fire. By now the human had counted the days. 7 nights had passed since he found the girl. 3 remained before the law's trial of chains was complete. If she survived, the villagers would release her. But the human knew the truth. Without him, she would not have lasted even 2. He gave her water, helped her sit upright, and offered a piece of bread from his pack. Her hands trembled, but she ate. She looked less like a ghost now. Her eyes carried a spark of life, though her body was still weak. The beast stirred. Its chains rattled against the rocks as it rose to its full height. It stretched its wings, dark, leathery things that blocked the sun for a moment, and then it roared, shaking the valley walls. The human did not flinch. He had grown used to its voice. The girl pressed closer to him, but she no longer hid her face. She whispered, "It does not hate you." "Maybe," the human said softly, "or maybe it waits for the right moment." That day, survival became harder. Predators in the night, when the moons rose, creatures from the far forest crept into the valley. Their bodies were thin and sharp, their teeth long, their eyes glowing green in the dark. They smelled weakness. The girl shivered. "Night hunters," she whispered. The human drew a metal rod from his pack. It was not a gun, not a sword, but a simple tool, a staff made to break rock and build shelter. Tonight it would be his weapon. The beasts came closer, snarling. The human stood between them and the girl, his staff ready. He felt the chain pull as the giant beast behind him shifted. Its yellow eyes blazed like twin fires. Then, with a thunderous roar, it struck. The chained beast slammed its claws into the ground, scattering the night hunters like leaves in the wind. They screamed, claws scratching stone, before fleeing into the darkness. The girl gasped. "It protected us." The human nodded, chest heaving. "It protected you." That night the girl slept without tears. She leaned against the human, and the great chained beast lay nearby, guarding them both. For the first time, the valley felt less like a prison and more like a strange camp of survivors. The question of trust by the 9th day, the bond between the 3 had grown. The human spoke softly to the girl, telling her stories of Earth, of rivers that shone like silver, of skies blue instead of red, of forests full of birds that sang in the morning. She listened with wide eyes, her face brightening with wonder. "On my world," he told her, "children play in fields. They are not chained to monsters." The girl smiled weakly. "On my world, we only play in dreams." The human's heart ached at her words. He touched the chain. It was heavy, cold, cruel. Every sound it made reminded him that her people had chosen punishment over mercy. But something deeper stirred in him. He no longer saw the chained beast as only a monster. It was scarred, weary, its great body marked by old wounds. It too was a prisoner. One evening he placed food near the beast again. It took the food, chewing slowly. Its eyes locked on his, and for the first time, the human felt no growl behind its gaze, only recognition. "Stranger," the girl whispered, "I think it knows you are not the same as them." "Maybe it knows I am chained too," he said quietly. The shadow of the law. But survival was not only about hunger and beasts of the night. The villagers watched. Their fear grew each day. They spoke of curses, of forbidden bonds, of how the human had broken the sacred distance. On the 9th night, torches lit the cliffs. Figures moved in the darkness. The girl saw them first. "They are coming," she whispered. The human tightened his grip on his staff. He stood, pulling her behind him. The beast rose as well, its roar shaking dust from the cliffs. The villagers shouted from above, "You have broken the law, human. You touch the chain. You feed the cursed child. You will bring death on us all." The human shouted back, his voice sharp as steel. "Your law is no law, it is fear. You would chain a child to die, and you call that justice?" The villagers hurled stones, but none dared to come closer. Each time they tried, the beast roared, forcing them back. The girl clung to the human's arm. "They will not stop. They will kill you." He looked down at her, then at the beast. Then we survived together, the 10th day. At dawn, the valley was quiet again. The villagers had left, but their anger remained like a storm on the horizon. The human knelt by the girl, brushing dirt from her face. "One more day," he whispered. "Hold on. Just one more." She looked at him with tired eyes. "If I live, will you stay?" He did not answer at once. He looked at the beast, at the chain, at the cliffs where the villagers had stood. He knew the truth. Saving her meant war with their law. But he also knew his heart. Yes, he said finally. I will stay. The girl smiled, weak but real. She leaned against him, and for a moment the valley felt brighter. Above them, the chained beast lifted its head to the sky and gave a roar, not of rage but of defiance. The sound carried across the land like a warning. The human, the girl, and the beast had survived 9 days together. Now the 10th day would decide all their fates. The valley lay heavy under the 10th dawn. The red sun rose slowly, throwing long shadows across the rocks. The human sat awake, the girl leaning weakly against his arm. She had survived 9 nights, something no one believed possible. But survival was not the end. From the cliffs above, horns sounded. Their sharp cry cut through the air. The villagers had returned, not with stones this time, but with soldiers. The human looked up and saw them, armored enforcers, their faces hidden behind dark helmets, their weapons glowing with blue fire. These were not frightened villagers. These were keepers of the alien law. The girl shivered. The enforcers, they have come. The chained beast stirred. It rose to its full height, wings unfolding with a hiss of air. Its yellow eyes blazed, and a deep growl shook the ground. The enforcers shouted down from the cliffs. Human, step away from the cursed child. You have touched the chain. You are guilty under our law. The human stood, placing himself between the girl and the soldiers above. His voice carried strong across the valley. Your law is wrong. She is a child, not a curse. And this creature is not her executioner, it is her prison mate. Look at them. Both suffered together. The soldiers did not listen. One raised his weapon, pointing it toward the girl. The trial ends today. She will die as the law demands. The beast roared so loud the cliffs shook. Stones tumbled down as its chained body slammed against the ground. The girl cried out, holding her ears. The human shouted back, his fists clenched. If you kill her, you kill me as well. And I will not go quietly. A standoff of wills. The soldiers hesitated. They had expected fear, not defiance. The villagers whispered among themselves, confused and afraid. For generations, no one had ever dared to stand against the law. One soldier called out, Human, you are not of this world. Our laws do not protect you. The human's voice was steady. Then I am free to choose my own. And I choose to protect her. The beast moved closer, its massive head lowering behind the human and the girl, as if shielding them. The soldiers saw it and pulled back in alarm. The image was clear. Human, child, and beast standing together. Whispers spread among the villagers. Some murmured of curses, others of miracles. Fear fought with doubt in their eyes. The enforcer's threat at last, the leader of the enforcers stepped forward. His armor gleamed in the sun and his voice was cold. Enough, if you resist, human, we will strike you down. If the beast resists, we will burn it. The child will die either way. This is our law, and law cannot bend. The girl clutched the human's coat, her voice trembling. They will kill you. Please. Don't fight them. He looked down at her. Her eyes were wide, her face pale, but there was trust in her expression. Trust only he had earned. His heart hardened. If I leave you, then I am no better than them. The beast growled, the chain rattling as it strained forward. The enforcers raised their weapons, beams of blue light humming. It was a moment of silence, a pause before violence. The beast's choice. The human felt the chain tug as the beast pulled harder. Dust rose, the rocks groaning under its strength. The chain that had held it for years screeched like metal ready to snap. The soldiers saw it too. Fear spread across their hidden faces. Hold your fire, the leader commanded, though his voice shook. The beast's eyes glowed brighter, and for the first time the human understood. It was not only rage. It was will. The creature did not fight for freedom alone. It fought for them. The human raised his staff high, shouting to the soldiers. You think your law is stronger than life itself? Then watch! She has lived 10 days against every cruel word you spoke. She has lived because someone cared enough to stay. The girl's small voice joined his, weak but firm. I am not cursed. I am alive. The words echoed across the valley. The breaking point, the enforcers aimed their weapons. The human braced himself. He knew one spark could end it all. But just as the first soldier moved to fire, the beast slammed its body forward with a roar so loud it cracked stone. The chain jerked, links grinding against rock. Sparks flew. The valley shook. The girl screamed and clung to the human. The soldiers staggered back, fear plain even through their helmets. The human held her tight, whispering, "Hold on. Just hold on." The villagers cried out from the cliffs. Some shouted for the law, others for mercy. Division spread among them. The beast strained harder. Its claws ripped into stone, its muscles burning with effort. The chain groaned louder, louder, until the sound became unbearable, and then it stopped. The chain held. The beast sank to its knees, exhausted, chest heaving. The girl sobbed softly, her face pressed against the human's chest. The enforcer leader lifted his weapon once more. "It is over. The law will be done." The hidden witness, but before he could fire, an old voice rose from the cliffs. An elder stepped forward, his robes flowing in the wind. His face was wrinkled, his eyes tired, but his words carried weight. "Stop." The enforcers froze. The villagers fell silent. The elder pointed at the human, the girl, and the beast. "For 10 days they have lived together. The law demanded death. Yet here is life. Perhaps the law is not as strong as we believed." Whispers spread like fire through the crowd. The enforcers shifted uneasily. The leader growled, "Old fool, you question the law?" The elder's voice was calm. "I question whether we have mistaken fear for justice." The human stood taller, hope flickering in his heart. He tightened his arm around the girl. The beast raised its head again, eyes burning. The law's shadow hung heavy, but for the first time light began to pierce through. The valley was silent after the elder's words. The enforcers had pulled back, but their weapons still glowed. The villagers whispered in fear and anger. The law had been questioned, and that alone was dangerous. The human stayed close to the girl, his arm steady around her shoulders. She leaned against him, breathing weakly. He could feel her heart racing. He knew she was close to the edge of life. Behind them, the chained beast shifted. Its eyes still glowed, but its movements had grown slow. Its great chest rose and fell heavily, each breath a struggle. The human noticed something he had not before. The beast was dying, the girl saw it too. Tears filled her eyes. It's weaker," she whispered. "It has no strength left." The human touched the chain. The metal was cold, cruel, unbroken even after 10 days. "This chain is killing it," he said quietly. "It was never meant to survive." The girl's small hands shook as she reached toward the beast. "It stayed with me, even when I thought it would eat me. It kept me alive." The human felt the weight of her words. He looked at the villagers above, at the enforcers waiting like wolves. Their law had not only sentenced the girl, it had sentenced the beast too. A quiet bond night fell. The red moons rose one last time, their light washing the valley in blood and silver. The girl lay against the human's chest, her eyes half closed. He gave her water, but her lips barely moved. The beast lay stretched across the rocks, its wings limp, its body trembling. For a long time, the human simply watched it. He remembered the first night when its roar shook his soul. Now its breath sounded like wind in a broken cave. He spoke softly, not knowing if the beast could understand. "You are not my enemy. You are chained like her, and I am chained to both of you now." The beast lifted its head weakly. Its glowing eyes met his for a long moment. Then it lowered its head again, resting close to the girl. She reached out and touched its rough hide with trembling fingers. "Don't leave me," she whispered. "Please, don't leave." Her voice cracked, and the human felt his chest tighten. The choice of chains, the human rose to his feet. His eyes turned to the chain, black and ancient, hammered into the very bones of the valley. He traced the links with his hand. They were thick, stronger than steel, glowing faintly with strange symbols. He knew they were more than metal, they were made by law itself. He gripped his staff. He knew the truth now. Breaking the chain would mean war. The villagers would see it as rebellion. The enforcers would call it blasphemy. The law would never forgive him, but if he did nothing, both the girl and the beast would die. His mind raged with the weight of choice. He thought of Earth, of children free to run in the fields, of skies where no chains bound life. He thought of the girl's broken voice saying, "Why you?" No one came. "Only you," he whispered to himself. "If I let her die, then I am already dead." The gathering storm. The villagers had not left. They gathered on the cliffs, torches burning bright in the dark. The enforcers stood among them, weapons ready. They were waiting for the chain to do its work, waiting for the girl and the beast to fall. But the human had no more patience for waiting. He raised his staff high and slammed it against the chain. Sparks flew, ringing across the valley. The girl gasped, eyes wide. The beast gave a weak growl as if urging him on. Again he struck. And again. The chain groaned, symbols flickering with angry light. The villagers shouted in rage. "Stop! The law cannot be broken!" The enforcers raised their weapons. But the elder stepped forward, his voice like thunder. "Let him strike. If the chain can break, then perhaps it was never meant to hold." The breaking point, the human roared with all his strength as he struck again. His arms burned, his breath came ragged, but he did not stop. Each strike shook the valley. Each strike felt like war against centuries of fear. The girl whispered, tears falling down her face. "Please, save us." The beast rose shakily, pulling against the chain. With its last strength it joined him, muscles straining, claws ripping into stone. The chain screamed under the force of human and beast together. One final strike, one final pull. The chain cracked. Light burst from the symbols, blinding the valley. The sound was like thunder and fire together. Then with a great shatter the chain broke. The beast fell back, gasping but free. The girl cried out, clutching the human's coat. The villagers on the cliffs screamed in shock. The enforcers staggered, their weapons flickering. It was done. The law had been broken. The last breath. The beast stood tall for a moment, wings spreading wide against the red moons. It gave a roar that shook the heavens, a sound not of rage but of freedom. The villagers fell to their knees in fear. Then the beast turned its glowing eyes to the girl. Slowly, gently, it lowered its head beside her. She reached out, touching it one last time, and with a final breath the beast closed its eyes. The girl sobbed, burying her face against the human. He held her tightly, his own heart breaking, but in that moment he understood. The beast had not died as a monster. It had died free, and he had chosen chains no longer. He had chosen life. The chain lay broken across the valley floor, shattered into pieces that glowed faintly before fading into dull black stone. For centuries it had bound beast and child. Now it was nothing but fragments. The beast gave its last roar, a sound so loud and full it shook the stars. Then it collapsed, wings folding, eyes dimming. Its breath slowed and finally stopped. The girl clung to the human, tears wetting his coat. "It saved us," she whispered. It stayed until the end. The human's throat was tight, but he held her close. "Yes," he said softly. "It gave everything." But there was no time for mourning. From the cliffs, the villagers screamed in fury. The enforcers stepped forward, weapons raised. "You have broken the sacred chain," their leader shouted. His voice echoed across the valley. "You are cursed. Both of you." The girl pressed herself against the human, shaking. "They will kill us." The human stood tall, staff in his hand. His voice carried across the valley, strong and unbroken. "Your law demanded death, but life has won. If that is a curse, then I accept it." The enforcers attack. The enforcers descended from the cliffs, their armor glowing with blue light. Their weapons hummed like storm winds. The villagers followed with torches, chanting of curses and punishment. The girl trembled. She was too weak to stand on her own. The human lifted her in his arms. She weighed almost nothing. "Hold on," he whispered. The enforcers charged. Beams of blue fire lit the valley. The human dodged behind rocks, the girl pressed tight against his chest. Sparks burned the ground where they had stood only a heartbeat before. The beast's broken body still lay in the valley, but even in death it offered help. The human moved behind its massive frame, using it as a shield. The girl looked at the fallen creature and whispered through her tears, "Even now, it protects us." The elder's defiance on the cliffs, the old elder raised his staff. His voice was strong despite his age. "Stop this madness," he cried. "The chain is gone. The trial is ended. The child has lived. The law must change." But the enforcer leader snarled. "The law does not change. It is eternal." He raised his weapon toward the human and girl. "The curse must be burned away." The villagers hesitated, torn between fear and the elder's words. Some lowered their torches. Others shouted for blood. The crowd was breaking in two. The human knew they could not stay. The valley would soon become their grave if they did. The flight through fire. With the girl in his arms, he broke from cover and ran. Beams of blue light scorched the rocks around him. The heat seared his skin, but he did not stop. His boots pounded the earth, every step heavy with the weight of his choice. The girl buried her face against him, whispering, "Don't let go. Please don't let go." "I won't," he promised. Behind them, the villagers screamed. Ahead, the cliffs rose high, steep and jagged. Escape seemed impossible. Then a strange sound shook the air like wings. The human glanced back. For a moment he thought he was dreaming. The beast, though dead, had stirred once more. Its wings stretched, broken but wide, and a final surge of power lifted dust and stone into the air. The enforcers stumbled, blinded by the storm of ash. The human ran through the chaos, climbing toward the cliffs. The girl clutched him tightly, whispering the beast's name. Though she had never known it, she spoke to it as if it could hear. "Thank you," she cried. "Thank you." When they reached the top, the human looked back. The beast lay still once more. This time it did not move. But its final act had given them a path. The last stand. The enforcers regrouped below, furious. The leader shouted, "You cannot escape. The law will hunt you to the ends of the stars." The human turned, standing at the edge of the cliff with the girl in his arms. His eyes blazed with fire. "Then let it hunt. I will never obey a law that kills children." The villagers fell silent. Some stared at him with hate, others with awe. The elder stepped forward, raising his staff again. "Remember this day," he told his people. "A chain has been broken and fear has lost its hold. The enforcers could not fire, the cliff edge was too far." The human took his chance. He carried the girl into the dark forest beyond, the sound of torches fading behind them. A promise for tomorrow. The forest was quiet, lit only by the glow of 2 red moons. The girl rested in the human's arms, too weak to walk but alive. She looked up at him with tired eyes. "No one came for me," she whispered. "No one. Until you." He stopped and looked down at her. His voice was steady, but his heart ached. "And I will never leave you." The girl closed her eyes, her breathing calm at last. The human looked back one final time. From the cliff, the broken valley stretched far behind him. The body of the beast lay silent, but its roar still seemed to echo in his ears. He whispered a promise into the night. "Your chains are gone. She is free, and I will keep her safe." Then he turned, carrying the child deeper into the forest, away from the valley, away from the chains, and into an uncertain future. The story's end, or its beginning behind them, the law was broken but not gone. The enforcers would not forget. The villagers would not forgive. Across the galaxy, the humans' defiance would spread like fire. But for now, in the silence of the alien night, there was only this: a child saved, a beast freed in death, and a human who chose mercy over law. And so the tale ended not with chains, but with footsteps, 2 lives walking into the unknown, bound not by law but by trust.